On my 78th birthday, my son texted, "We need space from you," but I overheard him tell someone. The old problem would be solved soon, a household accident wouldn't be suspicious. I pressed my emergency button, and within minutes, police surrounded the house where my own children were planning my murder. My name is Joan Morales, and at 78 years old, I never imagined I'd become the target of an assassination plot orchestrated by my own flesh and blood. But the warning message I received that day at the beach saved my life and exposed a conspiracy that would send my 3 children to prison for attempted murder. It started as what I thought would be a perfect family day on July 15th, 2023. My children, Sergio, 55, Christina, 52, and Raquel, 48, had insisted we spend Saturday together at the Chicago lakefront. Since losing my husband Robert 2 years earlier, family gatherings had become rare, so I was thrilled by their sudden attention and affection. We'd set up under a blue umbrella near the beachside bar, and for the first time in months I felt genuinely included in their conversations. They seemed different somehow, more loving, more attentive, but in the afternoon exactly, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number that changed everything. "Leave quietly. Don't say anything to your children. Your life depends on it. Red car in parking lot. Trust me." The message sent ice through my veins. Who could know I was here? And why specifically mention my children? I glanced at Sergio, Christina, and Raquel, still chatting animatedly, but suddenly their laughter sounded forced, almost rehearsed. Another message arrived. "It's urgent. I'm Nora, Sergio's housekeeper. I have proof they're planning to hurt you." Nora Jimenez. I knew her well. She'd worked for Sergio for 8 years, a responsible single mother to 8-year-old Valerie. I'd always made sure Sergio treated her fairly, even personally covering Valerie's medical bills when she was sick. If Nora was risking her job to warn me, something was terribly wrong. I made an excuse about feeling dizzy and needing a walk. Despite Sergio's offer to accompany me, I insisted on going alone and headed toward the parking lot where Nora waited by a red Ford Focus. "Mrs. Morales," she said with trembling urgency, "thank you for coming. I know this seems insane, but your children are planning to hurt you. I have proof." What she showed me on her phone made my blood freeze. Bank documents bearing my signature, authorizing transfers of $950,000, my entire life savings. Power of attorney forms giving Sergio complete control over my assets. A forged will eliminating the charitable donations I'd planned for my church. "Do you remember signing these?" Nora asked, zooming in on documents dated July 8th, the day of Sergio's family barbecue. I remembered that day clearly. They'd asked me to sign routine health insurance forms while I felt unusually drowsy after lunch. Now I understood why. "They drugged you," Nora confirmed, showing me photos of medication bottles she'd found in Sergio's kitchen. Bromazepam mixed with a substance that causes memory loss and excessive trust. Christina works at a pharmaceutical company. She prepared the mixture. But the evidence that truly shattered me came next. A recorded phone conversation between Sergio and someone with a thick Chicago accent. "Miguel, I need more time. The old lady is more suspicious than we thought." "There's no more time, Sergio. $380,000 by Thursday, or we start with corrections." "I have a plan. My mother has almost $1 million saved up. I just need her to be cooperative." "And if she doesn't cooperate?" A pause, then Sergio's voice cold as winter. "Then we'll have to speed up her departure. A household accident, something natural for a woman her age. The inheritance would be processed in weeks." Nora's investigation had uncovered the full scope of their desperation. Each of my children had accumulated crushing debts to Miguel, the Blade Fernandez, a violent loan shark from Chicago's South Side. Sergio owed $150,000. Christina $120,000, and Raquel $110,000, A total of $380,000 borrowed to fund lifestyles their combined monthly income of $9,000 could never sustain. New Mercedes for Sergio, $95,000. Luxury jewelry for Christina, $45,000. Raquel's coastal condo, $180,000, all financed through loans with 15% monthly interest and brutal collection methods. The deadline is July 20th, 5 days from now, Nora explained. If they don't pay, Miguel's organization will use violent methods to collect. Your children aren't just planning to steal from you. They're planning to murder you to speed up the inheritance process. She'd found WhatsApp messages between the siblings coordinating every detail. Christina researching medications that could simulate a heart attack. Raquel consulting funeral homes about rapid cremation procedures. Sergio planning to be present when the accident occurred to ensure it looked natural. I called the police last night, Nora continued. Inspector Thomas Grant is handling the case. They need your cooperation for a sting operation tonight to record direct confessions. At the police station, Inspector Grant, a seasoned professional with 30 years of experience, laid out the plan with military precision. We'll wire you with recording devices and position rapid response units within 2 blocks. Your safety is our absolute priority. Forensic tests confirmed Nora's suspicions. High concentrations of bromazepam and citrulline derivatives in my blood, enough to chemically incapacitate me during the document signing. But what Grant revealed next made the situation even more urgent. We intercepted communications between your children and Miguel's organization. The threats have escalated. If they don't pay by Thursday, the consequences will be severe, and they've already proposed accelerating your departure as the solution. The professional competence of the police operation was impressive. They'd assembled specialists in surveillance technology, undercover operations, and rapid intervention. Sergeant Lopez showed me microscopic recording devices, a directional microphone integrated into a shirt button, a GPS transmitter for my belt, and a micro camera installed in my glasses. 3 redundant systems ensure we capture everything, Officer Ruiz explained, plus an emergency device that triggers immediate response if you press it twice. We'll have agents storming the house within 90 seconds. At 8 in the evening, Nora and I arrived at Sergio's house for what could be my final conversation with my children as their mother. The 2-story brick home, decorated with luxuries they couldn't afford, now felt like a carefully laid trap. My children's relief at seeing me seemed genuine, but I now recognized it as something else entirely. Relief that their victim had returned voluntarily. "Mom, we were so worried," Sergio said, embracing me with calculated warmth. "You just disappeared without explanation." I followed the script perfectly, explaining my beach episode and expressing gratitude for their concern. Then I began the careful process of drawing out their confessions. "I've been feeling confused about my finances lately," I mentioned casually. "Some documents I remember signing seem important, but I can't recall the details." The effect was immediate. Glances exchanged between siblings, tension filling the room like fog. "What kind of documents worry you, Mom?" Sergio asked, his voice carefully controlled. "Bank transfers for large amounts, numbers that seemed significant." As the conversation progressed, my children revealed their desperation piece by piece. They admitted to debts in the hundreds of thousands. They confirmed owing money to people who aren't traditional banks. They described threats from Miguel the Blade and consequences that would go beyond credit problems. When I asked what would happen if they couldn't pay, the truth finally emerged. "Mom, if something happened to you, an accident or health problem, we would inherit immediately," Sergio explained with chilling pragmatism. "The process would be quick with clear will and power of attorney documents." "Are you suggesting my death would be convenient for you?" Christina covered her face, sobbing. "Mom, Miguel pressured us to consider all available options." "What other options specifically?" Sergio looked directly into my eyes with desperate resolve. Mom, at your age, a domestic accident wouldn't be suspicious. A fall downstairs, a heart problem during the night, something that would seem natural. And you've already planned this accident? The silence confirmed everything. Christina researched medications that could simulate heart problems, Raquel admitted. I consulted on rapid cremation procedures to avoid lengthy autopsies. And you, Sergio? I would be with you when it happened, to make sure you didn't suffer and everything looked natural. When was this supposed to happen? Tomorrow night. Miguel gave us until Thursday, so we would have to act before then. I had it all. Complete confessions of premeditated murder, recorded on police devices with crystal clarity. But my children's survival instincts began detecting inconsistencies in my behavior. Mom, you're talking strangely, Christina observed. Usually you'd be emotional during serious family discussions. Sergio approached me with growing suspicion. You're too calm, too controlled. And why are you wearing a different shirt than this morning? Before I could respond, his hands found the recording device. There's something hard here, like a strange button. The moment he ripped the microphone from my shirt, shouting, "She's recording us," the operation reached its climax. Police! Get on the ground now! Doors exploded inward simultaneously as armed officers flooded the house. Inspector Grant appeared among the first responders, heading straight for me, while my 3 children were forced to the ground and handcuffed. Mom, you betrayed us, Sergio screamed as they cuffed him. We're your family. You were my children until you decided to murder me for money, I replied with newfound strength. Mrs. Morales, Officer Ruiz announced, we simultaneously arrested Miguel the Blade Fernandez and 2 associates. We found documentation confirming all threats against your family. The legal proceedings that followed were swift and decisive. District Attorney Linda Carmen, known for her expertise in domestic violence cases, built an ironclad prosecution using the recorded confessions, forensic evidence of drugging, and financial documentation of the conspiracy. The trial revealed the full extent of my children's calculated betrayal. They hadn't fallen into debt accidentally. They'd adopted unsustainable lifestyles, knowing they could only repay through accessing my inheritance. Miguel's testimony confirmed they'd approached him with a complete plan, including the faster alternative when voluntary cooperation failed. During my testimony, I faced each of my children directly. The recordings prove you set specific dates, detailed methods, and contingencies. This wasn't desperation, it was criminal premeditation. When Christina tried appealing to family loyalty, I responded, you chose to destroy that relationship when you decided my money was worth more than my life. On December 18, 2023, the jury returned unanimous guilty verdicts. Each received 15 years without parole for attempted first-degree murder, conspiracy, fraudulent administration, and administering controlled substances without consent. Miguel received 18 years for leading the criminal organization. His associates got 12 years each for aggravated extortion and serious threats. As I left the courtroom, Sergio shouted one final threat. Mom, one day you'll regret this. We're your only family. I turned back and replied, Sergio, my family died the night you decided to kill me. The criminals going to prison just happened to have my children's names. The transformation that followed was remarkable. I legally adopted Nora and Valerie, establishing educational trusts, guaranteeing Valerie's future through graduate school, and ensuring Nora's financial security for life. With my savings, which would have funded my murder, I established the Robert Morales Center for Senior Protection, a comprehensive facility offering legal aid, psychological support, and emergency assistance for elderly people facing family manipulation or abuse. In our first year, we helped 112 seniors, preventing 6 serious cases of financial elder abuse and providing support to dozens of vulnerable people. Nora became the administrative director, her experience with detecting manipulation, making her perfect for the role. I received 47 letters from my children in prison, all following the same pattern of self-pity, manipulation, and veiled threats. I never responded. True repentance requires accepting full responsibility, something their letters never demonstrated. When Christina tried using Robert's memory to manipulate me through the prison chaplain, I responded through him instead. Forgiveness doesn't require exposing myself to people who proved willing to murder me for money. I've forgiven them to free my soul, but that doesn't mean restoring relationships with would-be killers. Today, at 79, I live with genuine family, Nora and Valerie, who chose me just as I chose them. Valerie, now 10, excels academically and plays piano beautifully. She calls me Grandma Joan and asks if she can be both a doctor and pianist someday. You can be anything your heart and hard work allow, I tell her. Your educational trust will provide opportunities, but your decisions and dedication determine what you do with them. My money, which once represented mortal danger, now protects the vulnerable and creates opportunities for the deserving. Robert would be proud of the family we've built and the good we're accomplishing in his memory. At Christmas 2024, surrounded by seniors we'd helped and watching Valerie perform Schubert's Ave Maria, Robert's favorite piece, I realized something profound. The deepest betrayals can open paths to unexpected blessings. I lost 3 children who were strangers masquerading as family, but gained a loyal daughter and precious granddaughter who fill my life with genuine love and renewed purpose. The emergency button I pressed that day didn't just save my life, it revealed that true family is built on loyalty, mutual protection, and shared values, not blood ties or financial dependency. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give someone isn't money, but the consequences that finally teach them the value of what they've lost.